It was supposed to be a relaxing weekend. Mia Kendrick drove up to her family's cabin at Pine Lake, New Hampshire. She was 32, successful, and looking forward to some quiet time away from her busy job as a financial analyst. She texted her sister when she arrived Friday evening, but by Sunday afternoon, when she was expected back home, no one had heard from her. Her car was still parked outside the cabin. Her luggage remained unpacked. But Mia was nowhere to be found. What really happened that weekend at Pine Lake? And who was the last person to see her alive? Mia Kendrick entered the world in 1991, born to Margaret and Robert Kendrick in the coastal town of Portsmouth, New Hampshire. From an early age, Mia showed remarkable determination and intellect. She was the valedictorian of her high school and went on to graduate with honors from Boston University with a degree in finance. Unlike many of her peers, Mia balanced ambition with a genuine love for the outdoors. She was an avid hiker, kayaker, and photographer who documented her adventures through stunning landscape photos. Her friends described her as methodical and reliable, someone who always checked in and never missed appointments. The Kendrick family was particularly close-knit. Mia called her mother almost daily and had Sunday dinners with her parents whenever possible. After college, she landed a job at Summit Financial Group in Boston, where she quickly climbed the corporate ladder. Despite her success in the city, Mia maintained strong connections to her hometown and the family cabin at Pine Lake, a place that had been in their family for generations. The rustic two-bedroom cabin, nestled among towering pines, was her sanctuary, a place where she could disconnect from the demands of her high-pressure job. By age 32, Mia had established herself as one of Summit Financial's rising stars. She had recently been promoted to senior analyst and was handling several major client portfolios. Despite her professional accomplishments, she remained grounded and made time for family and self-care. But then came the weekend that changed everything. On Friday, October 12, 2023, Mia left her Boston apartment around 3 p.m., planning to beat the weekend traffic to Pine Lake. She had told her colleagues she needed some time alone, to recharge and think about a major career decision. According to cell phone records, Mia arrived at the cabin around 5:30 p.m. She texted her sister Rachel a photo of the sunset over the lake with the caption, "Exactly what I needed." That was the last anyone heard from her. When Mia didn't show up for Sunday dinner with her parents, and wasn't responding to calls or texts, Rachel grew concerned. Especially since Mia was extraordinarily punctual. By Monday morning, with still no word, the family contacted local police to report her missing. Officers from the Pine Lake Sheriff's Department performed a welfare check at the cabin. What they found was deeply unsettling. Mia's car, a gray 2021 Toyota RAV4, was parked in its usual spot. Her suitcase was on the bed, partially unpacked. Her laptop was set up on the kitchen table with a half-empty cup of tea beside it. There were no signs of forced entry or struggle. It looked as if Mia had simply vanished, in the middle of whatever she was doing. The investigation quickly intensified as detectives combed through the cabin and surrounding grounds. They discovered Mia's cell phone, still plugged into its charger in the bedroom. Her hiking boots and jacket were still in the closet, suggesting she hadn't gone for a trek in the woods that surrounded the property. Her wallet, containing credit cards and cash, remained untouched on the nightstand. Perhaps most puzzling of all was the sliding door to the back deck, which was found unlocked and slightly ajar despite the chilly October weather. As police expanded their search to the surrounding woods and lakeshore, they interviewed neighbors at nearby cabins. One seasonal resident, Eleanor Winters, reported seeing Mia arrive on Friday, and later noticed an unfamiliar dark blue pickup truck parked near the Kendrick cabin around 8 p.m. that night. She hadn't thought much of it, assuming Mia had invited a friend. But when pressed for details, Eleanor couldn't recall the truck's make or license plate, only that it had appeared and disappeared without her noticing when. Another neighbor, Bradley Cooper, who lived in the cabin closest to the Kendricks, told police he'd heard what sounded like an argument coming from the direction of Mia's cabin late Friday night around 11 p.m. He described hearing raised voices, a woman and a man, though he couldn't make out what they were saying. Following this lead, detectives turned to Mia's personal life, diving into her relationships, phone records, and recent activities. They discovered that Mia had recently ended a 2-year relationship with investment banker Daniel Harmon. The breakup had been Mia's decision, and according to friends, had not gone smoothly. When questioned, Daniel confirmed the breakup had been difficult but insisted he had been in Boston the entire weekend, with several friends who corroborated his alibi. Cell tower data supported his claim, placing his phone in downtown Boston throughout the weekend. When shown a photo of a dark blue pickup truck, Daniel said he didn't own such a vehicle and had never driven one to Pine Lake. Still, investigators kept him on their radar while pursuing other leads. As the search continued, detectives uncovered another crucial detail. In examining Mia's financial records, they found she had recently reported suspicious activity on one of her clients' accounts at Summit Financial. According to her supervisor, Thomas Walsh, Mia had discovered unusual transactions that suggested potential money laundering and had filed an internal report just 3 days before her disappearance. Walsh downplayed the significance, stating it was likely a clerical error. But detectives weren't convinced. The timing seemed too coincidental. Digging deeper into the financial angle, investigators interviewed Mia's colleague, Veronica Patel, who revealed something troubling. According to Veronica, Mia had been genuinely concerned about the transactions and had mentioned feeling like someone was watching her in the days before she left for Pine Lake. Veronica also mentioned that one of the clients under scrutiny had connections to local real estate developer Carson Mills, who owned several properties around Pine Lake, including a parcel of land adjacent to the Kendrick cabin. When detectives ran a background check on Carson Mills, they discovered a string of lawsuits against his company for environmental violations and accounting discrepancies. More importantly, they learned he drove a dark blue Ford F-150 pickup, exactly matching the description of the vehicle Eleanor Winters had seen at Mia's cabin. Armed with this information, detectives obtained a search warrant for Mills' residence and vehicles. Forensic technicians discovered traces of soil matching the distinct composition found near the Kendrick cabin in the truck bed. Furthermore, they found a receipt for gas purchased just half a mile from Pine Lake on the night Mia disappeared. When confronted with this evidence, Mills denied any involvement, claiming he had driven by the lake that weekend to check on his properties but had never stopped at or entered Mia's cabin. His story started unraveling when cell tower data placed his phone within 100 yards of the Kendrick cabin at precisely the time Bradley Cooper had heard the argument. Police brought Mills in for formal questioning, but he immediately lawyered up, refusing to provide any further information. With their prime suspect not cooperating, detectives redoubled their efforts, searching the woods surrounding the cabin using cadaver dogs and ground-penetrating radar. After 2 days of meticulous searching, they discovered a freshly disturbed area of ground about half a mile from the cabin, on what turned out to be Mills' property. Carefully excavating the site, investigators made a grim discovery. Buried beneath 2 feet of soil was Mia's hiking backpack, containing her journal. The last entry, dated Friday, October 12th, detailed her discovery that Carson Mills was the beneficial owner behind the suspicious transactions she had flagged at work. Though they expanded the search area, no trace of Mia herself was found. The case had now shifted from a missing person to a suspected homicide. As investigators built their case against Mills, they uncovered a complex web of financial fraud centered around his real estate developments. It appeared that Mia had unwittingly stumbled onto Mills' money laundering operation through her work at Summit Financial, and the journal suggested she had confronted him about it that Friday night at the cabin. 6 weeks into the investigation, with Mills still maintaining his innocence, a major break came from an unexpected source. Mills' landscaper, James Dawson, came forward with critical information. According to Dawson, Mills had called him late Friday night, asking for help with an urgent cleanup at one of his lake properties. Dawson declined, thinking it strange, but the next morning noticed Mills' truck had fresh mud despite there having been no rain that week. Dawson also reported that Mills had suddenly sold his boat and had been planning to leave the country for a business opportunity in South America. Armed with Dawson's testimony and the mounting physical evidence, prosecutors charged Carson Mills with Mia's murder, even without recovering her body. The circumstantial evidence was overwhelming. The case against Mills strengthened when forensic analysis revealed Mia's DNA in his truck, and microscopic blood spatter in the cabin that had been attempted to be cleaned up. As the trial date approached, Mills finally broke under pressure, agreeing to a plea deal in exchange for revealing the location of Mia's remains. On a cold February morning, Mills led investigators to a remote part of the lake, where he admitted to weighing down Mia's body and sinking it in the deepest part of Pine Lake after confronting her at the cabin. Their argument had escalated, and in a moment of rage, he had struck her fatally. The recovery operation was difficult, but ultimately successful, bringing Mia home to her family at long last. At his sentencing, Mills showed little remorse, claiming the incident was just business that had gone wrong. The judge showed no leniency, sentencing him to life in prison without possibility of parole. 3 years have passed since that terrible weekend at Pine Lake. The Kendrick family has established a scholarship in Mia's name for women pursuing careers in financial crime investigation. Summit Financial implemented new whistleblower protections for employees reporting suspicious activity. And Pine Lake now has enhanced security measures throughout the community. But for Margaret and Robert Kendrick, nothing can fill the void left by their daughter's absence. They've sold the cabin, unable to bear its painful memories, and have channeled their grief into advocacy for victims of financial crimes. This case serves as a stark reminder that sometimes the most dangerous predators aren't strangers lurking in shadows, but influential figures hiding behind respectable facades. Mia's determination to expose wrongdoing ultimately cost her everything, but her legacy continues through the lives she's helped protect through the changes implemented since her death. Though justice was served, the question remains: was it worth the price paid by a young woman who simply wanted to do what was right? Thanks for listening to Ghostly Tales with Roy. If you want to learn more about financial crimes and their investigation, check out our companion podcast, Money Trail, where we examine the hidden world of white-collar crime. Don't forget to subscribe for more compelling true crime stories, delivered weekly.